Um. Okay. So, Disco Elysium's 5-year anniversary passed,
Yes.
and on that day, everybody got up and had something to say. So,
Who do we got?
on the same day, three separate studios all announced their own Disco Elysium spiritual successors
We are the successor to disco.
of four of former Zaum employees. So I saw some people say four. I saw some people say five. I can confirm the three. That's and when looking at it after the fact, because people were saying four and five, and I was like, wait, okay, I can only see the three new studios that are popping up that made their announcements.
I see five here.
Okay, so I'll talk about the ones that I've gotten. First was Long Due, which was it's a studio. None of the studios have Kurvitz or Rostov, um, but there's a number of ex Disco Elysium Zaum devs working at Long Due, and they've announced they're trying. They're making a new narrative-led RPG. They didn't show anything of it. They didn't show any give any names or so. But and they haven't gotten into the full list as well. But they've basically said that they're looking to not replicate, but to innovate and trailblaze. And the studio has former Bungie and Rockstar people on the team as well.
Well, that's eclectic.
So this is Long Due Studio. Uh, Not too long after, immediately, as if hitting the button in response to the fucking race, Dark Math Games came out and announced Triple X Night Shift. And they are a studio of 20 people, half from Zaum. Again, no Kurvitz or um, Rostov. And they showed a trailer which basically showed off kind of like the intro the waking scene in Disco where you're waking up. It was like a different character with a different set of internal stat voices,
Yeah, there's footage and
screenshots.
screenshots for this.
Um, Seems like there's a whole yeah, similar to like the limbic system scene, but you kind of have these different. I think it showed off the full branch of like maybe 20 of them or so. I don't remember, but
Play a true three-dimensional human being. Combine 20 traces
20.
across 4 categories.
And
That sounds pretty familiar.
the story is yes, you will be playing a detective on holiday at an Antarctic ski resort in the year 2086. Triple X Night Shift from Dark Math Games. And then, third, came Summer Eternal, a studio that they didn't show off any projects. They just came out. They showed the list of people who were there, including two of the original writers, Argo Tuluk and Olga Moskvina, and some other writers as well from Disco Elysium. And they did not put out footage, but they put out a manifesto. This fucking thing, Summer Eternal, if I may. On this day, the 11th of October 2024, we announce Summer Eternal. We recognize we are writing the opening words of our story at a time of apocalyptic material conditions for game creators across the world. Our art has been dressed down into an industry, and this industry has been pilfered by corrupt executives, by the vulgar profiteering of corporate bodies moving like leviathans in the dark, burning human fuel in their insatiable lust for money. It is not pencil pushers and money lenders who make games. It is the relentless passion of the workers that create an art form capable of saying something true. As creators and game makers, we have too long been led away from the truth, away from the right to define ourselves as artists, in service of the definitive art form of the future, one that has made us dream since we were children. Instead, the disposability culture operating at ruthless core of this industry wants us to think ourselves as cogs in the machine, rudimentary craftsmen, disposable career workers, inert producers of made-to-order, marketing-driven content, empty calories leaving the soul hungry. The profiteer knows that by keeping your dignity low, he will keep you crawling on the treadmill of passion until he lays you off for the sake of the red number in his book. We make games because we have to. It is our calling, because we have no choice but to see the transformative potential of this youngest medium of human interaction. You can't turn away once you've seen the light, or it will always feel like everyone else in the world is doing something without you. There in the light, you try to abandon, but can't, because oh, the horror, it comes from inside you. All art is communication, dialogue across time, space, and thought. In its rawest, it is one mind's ability to provoke emotion in another. Large language models, simulacra, cold comfort, real doll pocket pussy, cyberspace freezer of abandonment IM chat, which are today passed off for artificial intelligence, will never ever be able to offer a dialogue with the vision of another human being. Machine-generated works will never satisfy or substitute the human desire for art, as our desire for art, as in its core, is a desire for communication with another, with a talent who speaks to us across worlds and ages to remind us of our all-encompassing human universality. There is no one to connect to in a large language model. The phone line is open, but there is no one on the other side. The peddlers who aim to get rich quick from this scheme will always play the fool to any ethical or artistic argument. This is why we must push back against big tech's encroachment on the territory of our art, against increasing corporatization and alienation of game creators from their work, against the robbery of rights from workers, performers, artists, and all contributors of this complicated and multifaceted medium. Our mission is to unite world-class artists and creatives in a truly independent game studio, which will always prioritize artistic integrity over personal comfort, profit margin, short-term interests, or big tech profit bubbles. There we will be able to embark on that treacherous road of building a cultural mega project, a role-playing game, with complexity and ambition worthy to rival our wretched and wonderful world. In this, we are committed to pursue the highest caliber of literary quality. Here we stand, bound by our love for games and devotion to our craft, ready to bleed and weep and ride the cavalry into machine gun fire once more. For this, we will need all the support and help from you, our readers, colleagues, and future visionaries. Come walk the desert with us. We will not take any of your support for granted. We have seen the suffering wrought by the hunger for power, the terror and greed and envy, the complicity of the averted eye. We've also seen the triumph of the human spirit, of solidarity and of striving, of making something never before seen in its miracle unfolding to the world. We have seen poverty and we have seen plenty. We will make mistakes, we will win and we will fail, but we will never forget what we are doing this for. Yours in every season, Summer Eternal.
Yeah, that game's not coming now. That's not gonna fucking come out.
Well, I'll say this. Of all the announced projects, one certainly sounds like the voice of disco more than the others.
There's one that did not get announced on the 11th. There's one that got announced 2 years ago, and it was Red Info Ltd., the company that Kurvitz and Rostov did go and make and have since been radio silent. They're working under NetEase.
Okay. So...
And then the fifth is Zaum's continued shambling corpse.
Okay, we're counting Zaum. Yes. Okay, there you go. That makes sense. Fair enough. So these three were announced simultaneously, and then there's the prior.
A fourth that was a little bit bad, and then there's the obvious
remaining. Yes. So here there are words and there are people writing them.
Yeah.
I don't know that means there are visuals or anything else that it takes to make a game, but at the very least there is a burning spirit and desire to make that happen.
Hey, let's be blunt. Dark Math has put a trailer out for a game that has had people work on it.
They have put out a trailer that is on YouTube that you can watch right now. But I will say this, that there is definitely there's a moment in reading this where you're like, okay, you can, there's a part of your brain that goes pompous, self-serving, verbose, a little bit fart smelly, perhaps, but I believe that
Definitely.
they believe what they're writing here, and I
That's the best
believe
part.
that the thing that
They mean
I
it.
love about disco is how much disco means it, and that is something absolutely worth looking at and holding on to, because
It's
I don't know that any of these games, I don't know that they're gonna have the text on the side, they're gonna have cool voices, they're gonna have narration and awesome things going on, and there'll probably be some pretty fun RPGs, but I don't know that they're all gonna have something to say. Do you know what I mean?
I think the most important thing that any of them could say is that one of the largest takeaways of Disco Elysium as its core theme would be that communism is for losers. And to move from that to 5 different groups going, we're the real people who really know what disco really means.
Man, the most.
We're the successors.
We're gonna do it the right way this time.
Without any of those fat cats wearing us down.
We're gonna do the real, true version. We get it. We know the difference this time. We're gonna make it happen. It's time.
Wrote itself.
The most disco ending and the most disco disillusion into spiritual successors. Yes.
And like 3 of these will fail.
Maybe
and
4.
2 of them will release in a way that the developers are going to go, we tried, but the economics of capitalism made sure we couldn't really bring out our true vision.
Triple X Night Shift is probably coming out.
It's probably going to be the best one just because they've made some of it.
It's happening, and it's there, and they proved that it's happening. Like, if these were Kickstarters, that one showed you that there's a game happening. Yeah. This is a wild fucking just. I mean, so here's what's up. Like, personally, I definitely cemented in my. I'm like, a Disco Elysium being a one-off in moment in history that was just like, it couldn't possibly continue. Too much blood was on that keyboard.
They had to fail and bankrupt themselves, making a completely different type of game to get the chutzpah to fucking make disco.
And I was ready to accept a timeline where that's all that ever was. It was a fucking blip that shouldn't have existed, that came out of nowhere and was unbelievable. Like, legit.
Oh yeah, when I finished it, I had this feeling of like, oh, there's never going to be anything like this ever again.
No. And I mean, also, like, I put extra emphasis as well because being an adult, being somewhat more jaded and cynical to some degree now because I've played games for my whole life and stuff, like, the impact, something being impactful now means so much more. And, like, there's a lot of games that we can look at in our childhoods and go, yeah, that was life-changing. But, like, to make something that you can consider life-changing, like, now is almost impossible. So I'm like, that was a weird thing that shouldn't have happened. And now to have any of this occur, like, I am very curious to see who carries some of this flame forward and what it looks like. Because, yeah, disco was not made by just one person or 2 people. There was a whole team, And
it'll be very interesting to see what pieces of disco branch out into each particular project being stronger or weaker or more focused on or less focused on.
Because I'm like, okay, so here is a fucking manifesto that, like, I can hear the narrator going and having that
I know
moment.
What your game is going to sound like.
And then here's another where, like, the portraits are the lines instead of, like, the like an actual, like, painterly face of some kind, and it's giving an ethereal kind of tone as you're a woman waking up in a big bed, and it's kind of hazy and ASMR and druggy. So it's got that kind of psychedelic quality to it. But, you know, that's one piece of disco, the psychedelic quality, right? The marching fire and the riding of horses into machine guns is another one, you know? And will they all just become like these transformations, these Voltron, you know, parts together where like one of these is gonna be just the comedy, the goofiness, the fucking the cop adventure. I don't know, whatever the absurdities are, you know. It's interesting because just like, yeah, of all these companies, like they're none of these three have those two names at them, but they're clearly announcing at the exact same time because there's an arms race to take the mantle of Disco Elysium's like successor
and in the
flag.
background, Rostov and Kurvitz and their boys are working on something. Now, are they like drinking and smoking the day away and there's literally nothing to show for it? Fucking maybe. Fucking maybe. Who knows?
Did Eternal Summer write that the same night they saw the two get announced and just fucking took a shot, put the keyboard down and went, you know? Like, I think so. I think they posted that on a red background and slapped that shit online and said, we exist, you know? But it's about to get really interesting for Disco Elysium fans, I guess. We'll see what happens. And then we'll see what Zaum themselves actually put out and what that looks like. And
which might be fucking nothing.
The way this letter is written, this manifesto is penned, makes it sound like what you can expect from Zaum might be heavily AI dependent, you know?
Oh, that'd be bad.
But like, who else but light bending money would embrace that?
Why do you guys
you know?
keep talking to me about writers? Just have the chat GPT write it.
I would not imagine those words were included here for no reason, you know?
That would also be the most disco thing ever.
It really would. Like, Joyce forever. Disco baby. Oh man. Yeah. This story just keeps like the vibe. It's just that it's a vibe nuke is what it is. Disco Elysium was a vibe nuke on video games, and then the fallout continues.
And then it was killed, and then its fucking head split like the Hydra.
It's too late. You can't kill it. It's already out there. We've already seen it. We've heard it. We've played it. And most importantly, it was voice acted.
Yeah.
If the best
These are
one,
all going to be smaller scale projects, which makes me wonder
if the best one of these games is not voice acted.
Yeah, that's what's gonna. Yeah, that's what's gonna happen, bro. You know that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Can they all just hire the same narrator?
Lenval Brown was shown on part of the I think he's part of the Summer Eternal team. I think the screenshot showed him on that team. So he's been pulled in.
So Eternal Summer got him in the divorce then?
I think so.
Ooh, that's a get.
Let me double check it.
Yeah.
But I think they got him. You know? Yeah. You know. I mean, hey man, Baldur's Gate narrator is getting her flowers.
Oh, she's great.
She's great. She's got a tone to her too that is appreciable. Anyway,
Amelia Tyler, I want to say.
Yeah, so there's I think they're the only ones that showed off like the staff, but the voice acting is gonna be a question. Oh, well, and then of course, Night Shift also shut off the voice acting too.
The voice acting is going to be a deal breaker, not for you or I, but for you and I's channels.
Correct. But I also put the original Disco on a shelf because of that reason.
For this exact purpose.
Yeah. But here I am playing Phoenix Wright. And you know what? It's going pretty good.
Wright. Phoenix Wright has, like, in its totality, like 1/8 of Disco's voice of dialogue. Like,
I looked up the numbers, by the way.
You did?
Yes. So, if you want your comparison points,
all right, let's do it.
Sacred and Terrible Air, the book that I read, has 87,000 words. Phoenix Wright has Ace Attorney has 220,000 words.
Yeah, that's about right.
So,
order of magnitude in difference.
But I know what I'm messing with.
and if you want to go Disco Elysium word count, you get 1 million words.
Not all viewable on every path, but for sure.
So
but a lot. You cut out 20%, maybe 30, because you can still exhaust and then pick one, right? Cut down a third, maybe.
Sure.
Still, yes, orders of magnitude. It's fucking crazy.
That's a lot of words.
That's a lot of words.